Let's invite Nicky Morgan now. Nicky is going to vote with the government, but recognises that if it doesn't go through, it may be that an amendment is needed. Just describe what you are now recommending, Nicky.
Well, good evening, and thank you for all being here and being so interested. And I think this really matters, this vote that we're going to have. I think, as Nadeem has said, that no negotiated agreement is ever going to be perfect. No side is going to like it. It's always going to involve a compromise. I will be supporting the Prime Minister in that agreement when it's presented to the House of Commons. I'd like to think that it's going to go through. But if it doesn't, then I think a responsible government has to have a plan B. And that plan B that I believe can command a majority in the House of Commons is something like the Norway model, Norway Plus, which involves access to the single market via EFTA. The UK was a founder member of EFTA. It would mean we leave the common fisheries policy, the common agricultural policy. We would be leaving the EU as a former Remainer. That might pain me to say it, but that is what people voted for. 70 million voted for change in June of 2016. It would also mean we had to be part of a customs arrangement which would deal with the issue of the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. But we wouldn't need the backstop, which is what is causing so much angst amongst my colleagues and many MPs across the House of Commons. It would be a way forward to make sure that we do leave the EU, we don't crash our economy, we respect what people voted for in June of 2016. And for those reasons, as I say, I hope that the deal does get through the Prime Minister has put on the table. If it doesn't, there has to be a plan B that avoids a catastrophic no-deal Brexit.
Nicky, thanks very much. Nicky Morgan then offering a plan B to the government's first attempt at the vote. And just to understand this, Nicky, to get into the EFTA Norway, this would be a compromise on freedom of movement. We would have to allow for freedom of movement, continued freedom of movement.
Under the EEA agreement, it's the definition of free movement of workers, not freedom of movement as under the EU agreement. So it is a difference. And there's also an emergency brake that can be applied.
But in Norway, if it was the same as Norway, whether it's to live or work, people can come and go throughout the EU. That's what they've signed up to.
They can, but of course we're also going to have a new immigration system whereby we're going to have people registering, so we will know. And I think a lot of people, actually, the concern about immigration was not knowing who's coming here, how long they're coming here for, why they're coming, and when they should be going home. So there's lots more that the UK government proposes to set out in order to control of immigration.
It was the cap on numbers.
Well, fanned by some of the politicians. We haven't helped matters, politicians, over the last few decades in the way that we have spoken about immigration. There's lots more that could be done. I think various. So the withdrawal agreement obviously potentially gets ratified next month by the UK Parliament. That has to be approved by the EU Parliament. We will leave the European Union on 29th of March next year, and we enter what's called a transition period. That ends at the end of 2020. Under what I'm, obviously, if we were end up with a Norway, you would go into the EFTA at that stage. I think if the Prime Minister's deal is approved, then actually, hopefully by that point, you've got a new agreement setting out a new trading relationship between the EU and the UK. If that new agreement's not in place, then you end up with this Irish backstop.
Would